Good day, YouTube. Today I want to talk about a requested topic. Some of the mistakes that I saw when I was an accredited financial counselor for about 6 years, mistakes done by service members. I had probably the best job of my career ever when I was a financial counselor as a civilian, and I got to work with many service members, all branches, all ranks, and sometimes their family members, and see what their situation was financially and help them, or at least give them options. So if you don't know my background, I was a financial counselor, like I said, for 6 years. And I lost that certification last year when I went back on active duty. Now, let's go back even further. When I first started my family at the age of 24, 20 years ago, I started with a few hiccups. Let's just say I had some previous history that was kind of sloppy because of me. So I started from the bottom and I worked myself up. Because of that, I know what doesn't work. Often I recognize it when I see it in others. And I've been there and done that in the sense that I've learned from the School of Hard Knocks, and at the same time I was trained by a program that gave me more tools to work with finances. So what I have here is some good information. I'm going to begin with something called money personalities. It has nothing to do with the mistakes that I saw, but I realize that people are different and there are different types of individuals. For example, there are the spenders. Spender, you love using money to bring pleasure, and as a result, you have a hard time saving and delaying gratification for long-term goals. There's also the hoarder. You enjoy holding on to your money and find it difficult to spend on luxury items or for immediate pleasure. There's the avoider. That's the next person. You probably feel anxious or incompetent about dealing with money, and therefore neglect everyday tasks like bill paying and balancing your checking account. Celebrators, having large amounts of money at your disposal to save, to spend, and invest makes you feel secure and happy. Amassers equate money with self-worth, so a lack of it can lead to depression. Next one is the money saint. You think money corrupts and feel guilty about having more than you need. A large raise or inheritance would make you anxious. And then there's the binger, that's the last one. Combination of hoarders and spenders. Save and save, then spend a lot at once. Compulsive bargain hunters. So those are money personalities. So I bring that up because I realize that people are different, and hopefully you understand that people are different, and we don't always have to agree with everything when it comes to finances. So let's talk about some of the mistakes. I'm not going to give any names. I don't even remember the people's names. But the biggest thing was living paycheck to paycheck, and I've been there and done that as well. And that's common. You would be surprised how many military members live paycheck to paycheck, of all ranks, of all branches, not just young people. But let's talk about young people. I started thinking about this topic that somebody asked me to talk about, and I love the topic, the idea of the topic. When somebody is independent for the first time, let's say you're 18, or let's say you're 23 or 24, you have your own apartment or a house that you either rent, most likely, and you need furniture, like stuff like this. Well, because you're independent, if you haven't been taught right or learned right, you just see what other people do. That may be, let's go get credit and fill this house up with furniture. Maybe that's what people have seen, but because that's not the best way of doing it, sometimes we don't know what's right from wrong. And I was in that situation as well when I first became so-called independent. No financial vision is the next mistake. You get paid, you spend your money. I get paid, I spend my money, and we wait till payday. Maybe that mentality is that's the way I've always seen it from whoever raised me. Maybe that's the way it's supposed to be. The answer is no, that's not the way it's supposed to be. At least looking back, it's not for me, even though that's how I was as well at 18, 19, 20, 21. No budget. Budget is a good word. Budget is going to paint the picture of where you are financially. When I say a picture, I mean it has your income and it has your expenses, and it tells you right away if there is money left over or if it's all gone. So a budget is a good thing, and you don't have to look at it every day or every week, but you have to have a budget, hopefully written, if not in your mind, and know your expenses, know how much money is left over. Hopefully there is money left over. Once you have a budget, The next thing is people did not have an action plan. To me, that's a mistake. Where are you today and what do you want to do and how are you going to get there? And it could take steps, it could take time for you to make that action plan work for you. Next one, letter C, communication is important, especially if you are married, because finances is one of the top stressors between couples. So communication is key. If you're single, you have to communicate as well as needed, either with yourself or with whoever deals with your finances as well. The next thing, another mistake, is there is no balance. You've heard me say, maybe if you watch any other videos that I've done, is work hard, play hard. Some people like to play hard and that's it. So there has to be balance. Balance could be you save some money, maybe you invest some money, and you spend some money and treat yourself. Next thing is never co-sign. You would be surprised how many people I saw co-sign for their family members back home. Let's say this was a service member and they have a steady paycheck. That family member back home asked for a favor. Yes, I love you, so I'm going to help you because you are my family member, and that's never a good thing. The mentality of seeing debt as normal is maybe a mistake, in my opinion, at least now in my life, whereas in the past, that's all I knew, is that's how you get your furniture. So don't get into that habit of seeing debt as normal, because what a lot of people do when it comes to debt is they pay the minimum balance. Let's say it's $13 a month or whatever it is, but they're spending because they're using that same card. When it comes to debt, another mistake is that people overextended themselves with credit, lines of credit, credit cards. You walk into the mall because you need a pair of tennis shoes, but you walk out with a store card for that store because they're going to give you 10% off, or because you qualify, you have great credit. Don't do that. And that's unfortunately one of the biggest problems between service members and maybe people in general with financial problems is debt. Lines of credit, 5+ accounts, I would see that often. Car loans. I taught a class for First Term Airmen Center one time, FTech, and part of that was car buying. And I asked the question, how many of you, since you arrived to this space, have already bought a car either at technical training, tech school, or here? And most of the hands would go up. And I would ask the question, how easy or how difficult was that? And they would say it was easy, because businesses want service members business. They're going to offer them whatever they want because they have a steady paycheck. And there was an individual, E3, Airman First Class, who talked to me during a break and said, hey, I just bought a car. I was like, okay, how much did you qualify for? And the person said $30,000. And I was afraid of asking him the next question, which is, well, how much did you finance? What do you think the answer was? I'm not going to answer that. I want to know what you think. And let me know. I have the answer. Mortgage, overextended with mortgage. When we bought our house in 2003, they said we qualified for $225,000 at that time. That was 16 years ago. But we bought a house, we financed $169,000. So don't overextend yourself with the mortgage. If you're a service member, you're going to be active duty, be cautious about buying a house, because if you PCS, it's easy to buy a house, no money down, VA home loan. But when you sell a house, you have to pay realtor fees, you have to pay closing costs. So it's a lot easier to buy a house than not to. Payday lenders, huge mistake. Don't do that. I'm not saying you or anybody, but that's what I used to see in the past. So every service branch has an association. For example, the Air Force has the Air Force Society. The Army has Emergency Army Relief. Navy Marine Relief Society. These are agencies that if you have an emergency and you need a loan, interest-free, they're going to help you in most cases. But don't get into the habit that that is your emergency plan, and that's the next mistake, is people would say, I don't need to have money in the bank. Air Force Aid is right there. I can go to them and deal with someone like me. I used to manage that program. And I would tell people, hey, this isn't a bank. I've seen you 3 times already. I need to show you how to do things different. Have you ever thought about doing that? I would say it tactfully and professionally, and my intention was to help them, not to punk anyone, but to have them think different. That's another mistake. Sometimes people don't think different. What I mean by that is they keep doing the same thing over and over and over. And You've probably heard somewhere say that when somebody does the exact same thing over and over and over and expects a different reaction or a different result, that is the sign of insanity. And I'm not saying these people that I used to deal with were insane, but be open to doing things different or making adjustments as needed. Unaware that there are resources there to help all of us. That's a big mistake that people didn't know. Or if they did know, they didn't want to ask for help. And that's the key. To me, asking for help is a sign of what? What do you think the answer is? The answer, in my opinion, is strength. Don't let an anthill become a mountain of a problem. Ask for help. There's always someone out there. In the military, we are blessed that there are agencies that can help us. Maybe we're not the experts, and that's okay. And don't always think that your supervisor is going to be the expert, because he or she won't always be the expert in every topic. But somebody is, and they're either on the military installation or off the military installation. But ask for help. All of these problems, mistakes, financial mistakes, lead to stress. People can lose faith. People can become hopeless. But that's the thing. Here's the good news. No matter what your situation is, or their situation is, there's always a solution, and there's always the right solution as well. So ask for help. Be willing to grow mentally and make those adjustments as well. I want to end on a positive note. At the same time, I got to meet with a lot of individuals individually, and I would say, hey, I'm looking at all of your information here, and I'm going to just get to the point. Why are you here? Because you have money invested. You don't have debt. You have a lot of money left over on your budget. What are you looking for? And most of the time they would be individuals. I just want to know if I'm doing the right thing, if I should invest, should I change to this fund or that fund. And I would be like, I'm very impressed, first of all, and congratulations for doing that. So let's give you some options, and then you can do whatever you want. I'm going to end it with this. We as consumers have power. I've said that before as well. Don't forget that. But don't let that consumer power make it to where we have X number of lines of credit, because then we get paid and we have to pay that every month. That paycheck is gone. But here's what I want to say. My cable bill and internet is going to expire, my contract, next month. So I knew it was going to happen, and the price was going to go up, and I wasn't happy about that. So I got an email today, and I knew what it was about. So I called my provider, and I said, I'm going to give you the first at-bat to see what you can do for me. Here's why I'm calling, because I don't want to pay more than I already have, than what I'm already paying. I don't need DVR. I don't need movie channels, but I don't want my price to go up. So prior to having my account with you, the company that I called today, I was with another company for 9 years, and they're already contacting me to come back to them. So I'm going to give you the first at-bat. What can you do for me? So my cable bill right now is $108 with the internet, $108 a month. And they said we can drop it to about $97. We can increase also your internet speed, and we'll give you more channels as well. I said, sign me up. That's what I want. 2-year contract. It's not credit because I pay as I go, but it's like 97. I think that's what I said. So we have the power as consumers. You have to communicate. You have to adjust. Hopefully you and me as well can grow, ask for help when needed, and so forth. So that's what I talked about today. I love and I'm passionate about talking about finances, especially the young people, but older people as well, because it makes me sad when I see an individual who is probably should already be retired, but they are barely making it. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day. Take care.